My name is Michael Ladden. I originally grew up in Connecticut, so I'm a Northeasterner. And yeah, I've been traveling on the road now for 2.5 years. It's a 1994 Stewart Stevenson M1079, so it's a former Army truck. People tell me the most unique feature is it's kind of like a Japanese studio apartment. It looks like it's all finished, so it has, you know, a shower and it's got a separate bathroom and full-on RV. So I've had a number of trucks over the years, and prior to this I had a Mercedes Unimog, and I custom built a Expedition trailer behind it. And I found after traveling full-time on the road, it was a little bit too much with the trailer. So a lot of the things that I've done in past vehicles, I've kind of incorporated into this one. I actually built the truck 2 years ago. It took only 2 months to move into it, and about another 2 months to finish it. So 4 months in total. I was under the gun because I lived full-time on the road. So I had sold my house, I didn't have a place to stay. So I built this in the backyard of a buddy's house, and that's how it happened. I call this the kitchen, I guess. It has everything that you would normally have. I've got a burner top, little oven underneath here. This opens up on the top here. There's a microwave oven in there. And then as we turn around this way, I've got a double bowl sink. This is my Akuva water filtration system, so I can pretty much get water from either a domestic source, out of a lake, out of a river, you name it, I can get water, and it filters it UV light. I keep my Nespresso machine because I love coffee. So I kind of have everything that you would have on a smaller scale in a regular house. All right, so this is sort of my office area. This table folds up. I don't use it too much, but if I had guests over or something, I suppose we could have, you know, dinner on that. This folds down. So inside here is my iMac computer, and that's pretty much what I, you know, produce videos and whatnot on. I chose to separate my water closet toilet room. That has its own sink and toilet in there, and then the shower is behind it. And then across from the shower on the opposite side is the wardrobe. And then the bed section in the back here, it's a regular full-size bed with a regular mattress, which I really wanted for comfort. And then underneath that opens up, and that's kind of where I keep, like, you know, extra paper towels and dirty laundry and stuff like that. So I built this during COVID, and unfortunately with the borders closed, my intent of driving around the world was kind of put on hold a little bit. So this truck has only been in North America, Canada, US, and Mexico so far. Essentially, this was an old Army truck. It is fairly stock, meaning that the box was already on it. It was a communications vehicle. The only differences was the rear bed section was added. This roof rack kind of system was added on, and I completely redid the interior of the cab because it's Spartan at best. I've got a backup generator, which I've never used because I have 1,200 watts of solar and 900 amp hours of lithium battery. So I did all the work myself on the truck, with the exception of the paint job. It's my color. It's an old Kubota tractor orange that I've used. This is actually the third truck that I've painted in the same color scheme, so people always recognize me out there. Awnings on both sides to keep the sun out of the windows. Like I said, the back section was added, so I did the Arctic Tern windows on the rear. But other than that, it's relatively stock Army truck from 1994. So the tires on this vehicle are huge. Believe it or not, are not that expensive, because people ask me this all the time. They're like about 275 bucks if you can find them. But they do weigh about 350 pounds, so definitely a challenge of changing a tire. I carry on board a air jack, so I can jack it up, and it takes, I think those are 48mm bolts or something like that. So you gotta have some big tools to work on this truck. But the military kind of thinks of everything. So behind the door here, the tire comes up and down, so when you do have to change a tire, it lowers hydraulically, so you don't have to manpower it. Yeah, so there's a ladder on both sides. This goes up on the roof. There's a little deck up there. I have storage, Alu-box storage boxes on the roof. Mostly keep like cycling gear and sports equipment in them. Starlink mount is up there on the roof as well. And like I said, there's the batteries, the generator, and my propane tanks, because the truck runs my Tembo Tuscala exterior and all my cooking stuff and heat on board for the instant hot water for the shower. If you go on the other side of the truck, you get all the dipsticks to check transmission fluid, engine oil, and all that stuff is external. So they kind of thought of all these cool little things to make life easier, I guess, for the guys in the military. Weakness of the truck, if I had to say, if there was any weakness, is the fuel tank is not big enough. Most trucks of this size usually carry about 200 gallons of fuel. This, I have about 70-gallon fuel tank. So at 8 to 10 miles a gallon, you know, I still can get a pretty good range, 500 to 600 miles, but it's not as far as I would like. So in the cab, comfortable seats, that was number one for being a road warrior. Steering wheel replacement, because the big one, it was like a bus wheel. And then I obviously put all the, you know, the GPS stuff, all the equipment. Air conditioning, it has cab, it's my first truck I've ever owned that has air conditioning in it. Radio that you can actually hear while you drive along. I got the iPad, and I've got my second refrigerator behind me here, which I mostly keep all my liquid stuff in. And all this stuff was custom done by us in-house, but it makes a world of difference for sound. So on the back of the truck is sort of where my garage is. The KTM motorcycle rides on board here. I actually have a winch system that I can winch it and pull it up to make it easier to load. And then I can easily get it off, unload it by myself. I wanted to make sure I could get the motorcycle on and off very easily. Up on top here, where I keep my bikes, I have anywhere between 2 and 4 bicycles with me at any given time. Sometimes I drop one off at a friend's or my mom's or something if I don't want to carry it with me. Mexico, I pretty much take a fat bike or gravel bikes. And then on the roof is a kayak. So that's kind of what the rear of the truck entails. This comes off. If I need to take it off, I can get it off fairly quickly in the case I got a departure angle problem somewhere off-roading. I get questioned just about everywhere. It's just impossible to go to either a fuel stop, a grocery store, or anywhere else without people coming up. And oftentimes I'll come out of the store and I see them hovering around, sort of like they're hovering all over. And it depends on my mood whether or not I want to answer questions or not. But part of that is the orange color, I think. I mean, obviously I have a lot of followers on social media and stuff, but you can't be in a rush. You can't be in a rush to get anywhere. Between the truck itself doesn't go particularly fast, and I usually take back roads anyways. So, but then, just being inundated with people asking questions. So I'm a little bit different than most of I'll call them nomad people, where I tend to like to immerse myself in places. So I will go and stay for what a lot of these overlander van life people think are long periods of time. So as an example, I was out in Colorado. I stayed kind of put in one place for a month. I moved on, I was in Wyoming, stayed there for a while. I was in the Utah desert for like 3 weeks. So, and Baja is a good example of this. I literally camped in basically the same place for about 6 months. But because of the motorcycle, I can go out and adventure and see a bunch of things. And then if I find stuff on 2 wheels that I know that the truck can get to, I may move locations. But I tend to move less than a lot of people out there. So once I head south, probably next summer, I'm gonna go down into Mexico and then continue on down the Pan American Highway. I'll go through Central and South America, and eventually the plan was to ship from Argentina to South Africa and then drive up through Africa, West Coast probably, into Europe and then across Asia. And of course, we've got issues going on in Asia now too. So the world is an ever-changing place.